dance on the walls.
Secrets they repeat, a shadow figure
With eyes full of lies.
hides in the shadows when
nobody cares.
Uncover the
Uncover the truth.
Let the lies come undone. Peel back the layers until the light is shown. Uncover the truth, let the shadows run. Break free from the chains inside the sun. Uncover the truth in the dead of the night, where secrets lie hidden like a whispered bite. Uncover the truth in the dim of the light, where betrayals take root in the heart of the fight. In the rain-soaked streets, under the moon's pale light,
A crime unfolds.
with a twisted, sinister mind.
A knife in the dark.
A scream
A
that
knife in the
rings
dark.
clear. Betrayal's
Wow.
cold hand in the heart of the deer. Through the fog and the mist, the truth we must see. In the shadows we find the answers we need. Uncover the truth, let the lies come undone. Peel back the layers until the light is shown.
It's a great song.
Uncover the truth, let the
It's got a
Wow.
voice of an angel. Voice of an
She's-
angel there.
She blows Taylor Swift out of the water. I don't care what anyone says. And do you have a new microphone?
No, I just took
Oh.
it off the thing
You
because
took it off the thing. Okay.
yeah,
Okay. We got to get you a microphone stand.
I have one.
Yeah, but no, the real one, so you can put it up so you don't have to hold it the whole time.
No, I have the thing that comes in the arm.
Yeah, the arm, it can be a pain in the ass. If you want to put it down and have it in front of you, you can do that too. Like the one Frank uses.
Oh, I have one that just sits there in front of you.
Yeah, yeah. If you like that, use that. It's because people get annoyed.
The arm
Having-
pisses me off, by the way.
Really?
I
I just got my arm. I like my arm. You don't like it?
I mean, you put it in, you bring it back. I got like two mics. I have another mic right here.
I know.
don't
You
know.
got
I
45.
don't even know what that one does. And then I have one. I have one of these. I haven't used in like years. This was the original creme de la creme. Remember these? The
Oh, those are the those are the ones that hook up directly to your computer.
this is the what is that one called? The blue.
Yeah, the Yeti, the Yetis.
Yeah, you have the Yeti. Yeah, and you put
Wow.
the yeah. So you
Yeah, you put the C cord in and it connects right to your computer.
yeah.
You don't like the Yeti, huh?
I didn't think it was that great.
Yeah,
But
I
don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing. So
No, I mean they're good. I like the other ones better.
yeah.
So this is Bloodlines and Betrayal.
Yeah, it is.
We have a lot to talk about because gambling has come right back into our lives and there are scandals everywhere. And has it been a mistake to legalize gambling in the United States? It's legal in almost all the states right now. I know that we're making a ton of money off of it, but now college athletes are allowed to gamble on pro sports, which could open Pandora's box. And we are seeing more and more professional athletes taking advantage of their insider knowledge and using it to get even richer. And as several people mentioned, NBA players already have $8-10 million salaries, and they're still doing it. So it blows my mind that they're willing to risk their careers and that kind of money on a prop bet. And we are starting with the original betting scandal of 2007, which involved NBA referee Tim Donaghy. Tim Donaghy was investigated by the FBI because of some of his calls that were made in 2005, 2006, and then in 2007. He was investigated from 2003 on. And it was crazy because his calls directly affected the Sacramento Kings at the time from advancing to the NBA Finals. And Donaghy, unfortunately, had a little bit of a betting problem. He was betting on games, and he got involved with organized crime, the mob. And that is when things start to spiral out of control. And law enforcement was able to pick up on it. David Stern was just outraged by the entire situation because, as he said, a referee, Tim Donaghy, betrayed the most sacred trust in professional sports. And he was going to take the necessary steps to protect this from ever happening again. Unfortunately, he was unable to do that, but he tried. Donaghy was arrested at his home, and he was moved to a secure location and surrendered. And he pled guilty to 2 felony charges of conspiracy. He kind of got off a little easier because he named names. He told judges that he used coded language to tip others off about players' physical condition. And he also passed information on to people about this guy may not be playing this game, or this guy's sitting out this game. And he was receiving $30,000 each time he was able to pass information on to bookies. His co-conspirators disputed this, and they say he was paid around $120,000 for his information. And pro gambler Jimmy Batista claimed that he paid Donaghy between $200,000 and $210,000. And he obviously admitted that he had a severe gambling addiction and was on medication to address it, which I find hilarious. I don't know of a medication that can help you with gambling addiction. So what happened was several series in the NBA playoffs, they were improperly refereed. And this happened especially in games where personal fouls were called. And they were really unnecessary. And people felt that it could have even been coming from the top, from David Stern.
Really?
Yeah, because the 2002 Western Conference Finals was between the Lakers and the Kings. And if you remember, the Kings at the time had Chris Webber. And the NBA obviously benefits off of television ratings. And they didn't necessarily feel that having the Sacramento Kings in the finals was going to benefit them the most. And that they wanted the Lakers to win. And I always say that David Stern got on the bat phone and called and said, make sure that the Lakers win. So I believe, so it was game 6. The Lakers had 27 free throws in the fourth quarter, and compared to the Kings who barely had any. And there were there were referees on the crew that believed Donaghy was causing problems, but they were allegedly supposed to enforce a screening rule, for picks against a certain player. And, the first playoff series believed to cause a scandal was between the Rockets and the Mavericks. And that was in 2005. That's when they started to notice. And that's when I believe, the investigation was getting underway, because it kind of started in 2003. The Rockets led the series 2-0 before losing to Dallas in 7 games. And Rockets head coach Jeff Van Gundy was fined $100,000 for stating that the referees were targeting Houston center Yao Ming. Federal investigators and authorities, they talked to Donaghy, and Donaghy said that this was all true. The FBI or the other authorities found there was no evidence to support this. But the assistant U.S. attorney came out and told the court that we never believed that Donaghy lied to us. But there's a difference between believing you're telling the truth and actually telling the truth. And he said that a number of his allegations don't hold water. So he was sentenced to only 15 months of prison and 3 years supervised release. And he served, I think, 8 months. He wrote a book. He wrote a book about himself, and it was titled Personal Foul, a first-person account of the scandal that rocked the NBA. And a lot of people say that many of the key claims Donaghy said in his book were debunked by evidence. Several of the main falsehoods debunked in the books concern specifics about, game outcomes, player stats, especially about the scandal itself. The original scandal, the origin of the scandal allegations of organized crimes, they said that his family was threatened, and that is what caused him to get in deeper, when in reality, he got into debt. and that's really more of why it happened. But
exactly.
But several people really believed that this was going to hurt the NBA's popularity, and that the general American public at the time had been turning away from the NBA since the Bulls dynasty.
It's been continuing because the NBA was down 48% this
huge.
year already.
Yeah, people don't like the NBA. People don't like the NBA.
Yeah.
People don't like the style of play in the NBA. People,
With all the threes, you mean?
well, there's no defense. Nobody plays defense. Like if you watch a college game and then you watch an NBA game, the difference is monumental. I mean, it's completely different how they play. You can see the college players giving 100% effort all the time. You can see in the NBA where a possession may be taken off, or defensively they'll just let a guy get a layup or a dunk. They don't, and they have more fouls to give. With 6 fouls. But this was the first real major scandal that made them look into more forms of gambling, more sports being involved in it. And, because of the money that can be made off of it, and athletes, referees, whoever having inside information being able to profit. And, especially, I thought the NFL would be even worse, and the NFL has probably had the least amount of scandals. You look at, my thing was the baseball situation with the Houston Rockets and stealing signals and doing that. I thought that was awful.
Right.
And it didn't involve gambling, but they found a way to cheat the system, and it wound up leading them to 2 World Series titles. But the one, you can blatantly hear them banging on the garbage can, sending signals to let them know what pitch is coming. And it forced baseball to go to an electronic system with the pitcher and the catcher and everyone, so they can know what's going on, because they can't trust anyone. Everything's filmed. If you watch enough film, you can put stuff together. So things really started to pick up recently, and the scandal with the NBA now it ended up being bigger than anything we could have imagined. But it involved, obviously, bets, but it also involved poker that went on with it. So this just happened in October of 2020, October 23rd. The NBA had, I believe, 34 people arrested and indicted for allegedly conducting rigged sports betting and poker games. And obviously the man that has the biggest name was Portland. He was the current head coach of the Portland Trailblazers, Chauncey Billups. And then former player Damon Jones and current Miami Heat's player Terry Rozier were the big names arrested in involvement in this scandal. And, the FBI, the New York Police Organized Crime Control Bureau's organization, they had a task force that investigated individuals associated with the NBA for illegal gambling. Now, part of this, I believe, is because of Adam Silver. He instituted that new policy because of quote unquote load management, where you would see star players miss games on the road or in certain situations to give them a break. And Adam Silver made it to where, unless there's a serious injury, they have to play in like 85% of the games. Otherwise, you can't just hold a player out to hold them out, to give them rest. And that, I think, dramatically affected things. So the two biggest schemes were Billups and Rozier were charged in rigging poker games, and then the one that's easiest to get away with are the prop bets, the illegal prop bets. So as you know, if you go on DraftKings, you can bet, all right, on this possession, I bet $1 million so-and-so is going to hit a 3. Or I bet so-and-so is going to do this, or so-and-so is going to foul. You can literally bet on anything. And the prop bets are the ones that are more difficult to monitor. So Billups and Jones were both accused of helping the mafia do this with betting. And then they were organizing rigged poker games, after which the mafia would take a portion of the winnings and go after any of their debtors. Billups and Jones were also charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. So what happened was the first involvement, the first indictment included manipulating bets on NBA games using non-public information. So they identified 7 games between 2023 and 2024 under scrutiny. Rozier was alleged to have information that he gave to his associates, basically that he would leave a February 2023 game early due to injury. And
scandal.
What's that?
It's like the Black Sox scandal.
Well, see, okay, that's what I don't. First of all, I don't believe in the Black Sox scandal. Second of all, the Black Sox thing was completely different, and I still to this day think Shoeless Joe Jackson was innocent because he played phenomenally well in that series. There may have been other players involved, but yes.
You think Shoeless Joe took the fall?
No, I don't think he did. If you look at his stats throughout that series, and back then they played 9 games, he played very, very well.
Shoeless.
He had a great batting average, and he was good in the field. I don't think he did anything. I think he got named by he apparently, what happened was he was in a meeting with the group that was deciding on whether we should do this or not. And he claimed that he never took place in throwing the series, but he was in the meeting. And that was enough to get him suspended.
Got it.
For life. So, but Terry Rozier was, he told associates, I'm leaving this game early. And that allowed his associates to place over $200,000 in bets predicting his underperformance, because you could bet on, how many points he would score, this and that. So he exited the game after 9 minutes with a reported foot injury. And then he was charged also for influencing bets in other games. He shared privileged information about players' injuries before Lakers games in 23 and 24, which was, I guess, really about LeBron James. Like, he found out that LeBron wasn't playing in those 2 games, passed the information on, they made a ton of money off of it. And then Chauncey Billups, he was another one who got involved. And he did more with the rigged high stakes poker games. Now, they would get these fishes who were just happy to play with stars. Like guys, and they admitted this, like guys who had no idea how to play no limit poker, no idea what they were doing, but they were so happy to play with stars, so happy to lose money to them. They didn't even care. But the associates of the Bonanno, Genovese, and Gambino crime families used sophisticated technology, such as they had these modified shuffling machines. They had contact lenses that gave you X-ray vision so you could see other people's hands. And they had an X-ray table to cheat players out of approximately $7 million. And they used Chauncey Billups and other pro athletes in locations including Vegas, Miami, Manhattan, and the Hamptons to lure rich victims, rich guests into playing into these games. And unknown to the victims was that everyone surrounding them was part of the fraud. The players, the dealers, even the card shuffling machine, the chip counting machines. If players refuse to pay losses, members of the crime family allegedly used threats of intimidation to collect debts. So this was like really, really big, that they were bringing all these people to play cards. Everyone was in on it, and they would use signals, either with how they would do their chips, touching their arm, touching this, touching that. That would tell everyone at the table, okay, this guy's got a good hand. Everyone needs to fold, and they would work the group like any good gambler knows how to do. They would let people in the group obviously win initially. They'd win big money. So they'd be happy, and that would keep them going. And then eventually the fraud would commence and all the money would be lost back. And that's how they made money off of it. So the federal government got involved and referred to this behavior as an inevitable consequence of the unchecked explosion of the sports betting industry, which is why I come back to you and I ask, did we make a mistake legalizing gambling? I know it was going on. I know everyone had a bookie. I know everyone did things that way, but DraftKings and all these other sites have benefited tremendously, and many of them are overseas. Did we make a mistake legalizing gambling? Because even giving players, and Maria talked about this. Maria said how easy it can be to place bets. You can go through a third party. You can go through a friend. You can go through a relative. And the chances of them picking up on it are slim to none. And, even Tyler believes that this has been going on forever. And even more so now that sports betting is legal. But because you can go through a third party, all you have to do is tell your buddy. Like I can call Dave Schumann and say, hey, Cam Edwards isn't playing this weekend.
Right.
Bet UConn in the under. We could get inside information. We can make that. So
Right.
that's why I say, I know how much that the gambling industry has put into the money that they've given to our government because of it. It generates a ton of revenue. But now, I mean, I think allowing college players an opportunity to bet on games is going
I
to
think
be
that's madness.
Yes.
Do you think that that's madness?
I think it's going to be an unmitigated disaster. They can't bet on college games, but they can bet on NFL or pro games. And my concern is they're already getting paid.
Right.
They're already getting paid insane amounts of money.
Right.
So all you're doing by allowing them to bet, you're going to have kids developing, who already aren't going to know how to manage their money the best way. They're going to develop gambling addictions.
Of course.
And I could see them getting in too deep. And then I could see them obviously doing what Chauncey Billups, Terry Rozier, these guys did, and, rig games. And that in America, the worst thing that you can do is rig an athletic contest. That is the most frowned upon. You could murder someone, but if you rig a game, people consider that to be the worst thing you could possibly do. So I don't understand why the NCAA allowed this to happen. And and this is the first year of it, but I only see terrible, terrible things that can happen and come from it. I mean, don't you think so?
Yeah, I think there are. I don't know where you go from here because you're so far down a rabbit hole on this
Yeah,
thing.
you can't put the toothpaste back in the thing, because like you said, it's already legalized. I mean, it's not like, I guess you could go back and say it's illegal, but the chances of that working.
Pandora's box, it's hard to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's the issue. Like it's just going to get worse. So then it translates over to UFC, and it was a really good prospect. His name was Isaac, I believe, and this guy was on a prelim fight on a UFC fight night. And it wasn't really a big fight. He was a guy who was an up and coming prospect. He was like 7 or 8-1. And nobody really thought that this would come, because this is a guy who had technically a bright future, a guy who could have gotten himself onto pay-per-views, a guy who may have worked himself into being a UFC champion. And he did it. And it was so egregious that it blows my mind.
Right.
So it was Isaac Dulgarian. So he fought on the prelims against Yadir Delval, and he came into the fight a minus 200 favorite. That's what he was. He was a minus 200 favorite. So during the day, the money shifted significantly. And the reason being, it was only supposed to be one person who was involved. in this scandal. And of course, one person told another person. And that's how that's all it took. And that's how it exploded.
That's crazy.
That is how it exploded. One person told another person, and it was just a game of telephone. So the money was shifting so much that Del Valle now became the favorite. He became the favorite. And it got back to Dana White hours before the fight even happened. And Dana White went to Dugalian's camp, and he asked him straight up. He said, "Do you owe money to anyone? Are you injured? Is there something going on?" He was told no, no, and no. So during the fight, a lot of the bets were made that he was going to lose in the first round by submission. And that's what Dana White was very, very concerned about. Like, this is really specific. Like, there's no way. And when he questioned Isaac, the kid said, "Absolutely not. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to kill this guy." So again, he went into the night with a 7-1 record, and he was an up-and-coming grappler. He was in the featherweight division. He was a favorite. It was a minus 250 favorite before the fight, hours before the fight. So the sportsbook started moving in the hour leading up to the match because so many bets came in for Del Valle. And many sports books took the fight away from being bet on. You couldn't even bet on it. Others took the even more extreme measure of refunding bets that were placed because they smelled something was up. So, during the match, Dulgarian came out and he had a head kick that was blocked. He went for a double leg takedown all within the first 30 seconds. And then when Del Valle stuffed his takedown, everyone noticed this. Dulgarian foolishly gave up his back, allowing Del Valle to spend the next 2 minutes moving into a triangle position and getting a rear naked chokehold around his neck. So the announcers even noticed this. The commentator obviously was Daniel Cormier, who a multiple-time champion. He was calling the fight, and he's like, what is Isaac doing? This is a hold that any white belt guy could get out of, and he's doing everything wrong. It's like everything he's coached to do, he's not doing to get out of it. He was like flailing. He wasn't, trying to get his arms underneath the choke or nothing like that. And he then took dozens of punches and eventually tapped out to the choke. So after the fight, Isaac left immediately, and Dana White went right to the FBI. He called the FBI. Isaac was released from the roster immediately, and I believe his trainers even got blackballed because of it, because people think they were in on it. and they said that basically he showed up, but he did not fight. Dana White talked with Kash Patel, and they are on top of it. Patel announced that 30 arrests were made because of this. And because of this and what happened with the rigged operation involving the NBA games, he said that it does not look good.
No.
And, Dana White tried to spin it where it's an isolated incident, but in reality, it's happened in the UFC before. There was a welterweight scandal 2 years ago in fighting against Derek Minner, where bets poured in hours before the fight. Minner was an underdog coming into the bout, but the volume of the betting moved the line so much that made him an even larger underdog. And suspicions arose that he was injured. And shortly into the fight, he threw a leg kick, and then he revealed he was injured, and he got TKO. So they were suspended by the Nevada Athletic Commission. They held up his money, and his coach, James Krause, had been acting as an agent for offshore bookmaking for years. And then the UFC announced any fighters training under Krause would be banned from the promotion if they don't disassociate with the coach. And Isaac Dulgarian was one of the fighters who trained under Krause in 2022. So it blows my mind because this guy was someone who naturally could have moved up. But the problem with the UFC is they are paid so little, even on the prelims. Tyler was talking about it. It used to be 25 and 25, 25,000 to fight, 25,000 if you win. Now it's gone down to some get 12 and 12 and
Right.
get as low as 8 and 8. So if you're getting 8 and 8 or 12 and 12 and you got to pay all these trainers and everything, you're making nothing. So I can see why not take a chance and place a bet. But the gambling has gotten out of control, I would say, with even regular people who do it.
Right.
Even Frank loves it. Frank loves doing prop bets. Frank loves betting during the game. And it's fun. I mean, he doesn't gamble a lot of money, but
Right.
he can make a decent amount of money being able to do it with
So this
prop
isn't
bets.
as exciting a topic as I thought it would be. The bottom line of this exact thing is like that there needs to be regulation
They do have security systems that monitor the
on
betting.
how I'm not sure about athletes being able to gamble on pro games if they're in college or pro guys being able to
That's the worst
gamble.
thing ever.
I think you can't have athletes gambling.
No.
I
Look at wide receiver Calvin Ridley. He got suspended for an entire season from the NFL because he bet on his team to win. So it's happened. There was a player suspended from the NBA for life because he was gambling consistently. So it was a horrible decision to do. There's no way to really monitor it because they can go through third parties, and there's so much money to be made that I would say, why not take a shot? If you have a third party who you trust, who's not going to open his mouth, I would do it. If I had inside info, I would say, Schumann, place a bet, and we'll split it. How would they catch us? We're not pro athletes. But even if you're a pro athlete and you work with a childhood friend, they're not going to know that.
Yeah.
So where it goes from here, I don't know. Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier, when they have their trial, I don't think it'll get to trial. I think they'll take a plea agreement. But I only believe that we're seeing the tip of the iceberg. I believe it's going to become an epidemic, and it's just going to get worse.
Well, there's no way it can get worse. I mean, it's going to just keep getting
No,
worse.
there is a way it can get worse.
No, I'm saying there's no way it can. There's no way it cannot get worse. It's going to get worse and worse because athletes gambling on sports. It's too easy to cheat. It's too easy to cheat.
Yeah. And I think it happens in the NBA the most because it's so easy to control with the analytics and the load management and I'm sore today, so I can't play.
Right.
And that they remove themselves from the game. That affects the over-under. That affects the points scored. If LeBron doesn't play, you can bet on another player who's going to score over a certain amount of points. And that's how you win. So it's
that. What an episode.
Yeah.
Don't have the athletes gamble.
Well, I think that
it was hard to believe because he seems like a liar to me.
Who seems like a liar to you?
Donaghy.
Yeah, no, I think he did. No, I think he lied about what he made. Yeah. And he laundered his money.
Yep.
All right. Well, I mean, we'll see what happens, but for a banner, Bloodlines Betrayal, for Lieutenant Colonel Dave Schumann, who's ready to go and getting better at life. I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. In the whispers of the night, just remember, a crime is
the night when dings
when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges and start making some prop bets.
Prop bets. That was a banner episode.